The phone won't stop ringing. My hand trembles as I reach for it, the bruise on my wrist still purple and tender. 2 days. It's been 2 days since Christmas Eve, and I'm sitting in Bernard's old recliner with an ice pack pressed against my temple, watching the number light up my screen. Garrett, my son. I should let it go to voicemail. My lawyer told me not to answer. The restraining order paperwork sits on the coffee table beside me, waiting for my signature, but my thumb moves before my brain catches up, pressing accept. Mom. His voice cracks through the speaker, not the confident, dismissive tone from 2 nights ago. This voice shakes. Mom, did you pay the mortgage this month? The question hangs in the air between us like smoke. Outside my window, a crow lands on the frozen bird bath, pecking at ice. The morning sun turns the December frost into diamonds across my lawn. Everything looks peaceful, clean. Nothing like the chaos churning in my chest. Why would you think I paid your mortgage? I keep my voice steady, calm. The same tone I used to use when he was 7 and lied about breaking the neighbor's window. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Because he exhales hard, the sound staticky through the phone. Because the payment didn't go through. Our account shows insufficient funds. And I know you've helped us before when we were short. Usually. That word lands like a punch. I shift in the recliner and pain shoots through my ribs where they're still healing. The emergency room doctor said I was lucky nothing broke. Just severe bruising. Deep tissue damage. The kind that takes weeks to fade. I'm confused. Garrett. I watched the crow give up on the frozen water and fly away. 2 nights ago, you told me I had more money than I needed, that I was going to die alone in this house anyway. You said what I did with my money wasn't your business. The silence stretches. I can picture him in his kitchen, the one with the granite countertops I helped them pick out, the backsplash I paid for when they ran over budget. His face would be cycling through colors right now. Panic. Realization, that same look he had when he was 12 and got caught shoplifting baseball cards. Mom. Listen. No, you listen. My voice stays soft, but there's steel underneath now. Steel that wasn't there before. Your wife stole $30,000 from me. You knew about it, helped her do it. And when I confronted you both, you shoved me to the ground and left me bleeding on my kitchen floor with a concussion. I didn't mean it was an accident. The police have photos, Garrett. The hospital has records. My lawyer has documentation of every withdrawal Vanessa made. I pause. Let the weight of those words sink in. So, no. I did not pay your mortgage. Mom, please. The desperation in his voice used to move me. Used to make me reach for my checkbook, my credit card, whatever would fix things. They're going to foreclose. We'll lose the house. Everything. Just this once. Just this once. The laugh that comes out of me sounds foreign. Sharp. I gave you $20,000 for your down payment 7 years ago. I've covered your car payments, your credit cards, your emergencies, and you repaid Me by stealing by putting your hands on me. I'm sorry, God. Mom, I'm so sorry. Are you sorry you did it or sorry you got caught? No answer. The crow that flew away earlier returns with another bird. They circle my yard together, looking for food in the frozen ground, finding nothing. Let me tell you what happened 2 nights ago. Let me tell you how I got these bruises, this concussion, this new understanding of who my son really is. Then you'll understand why I won't help you, why I can't. 3 months before Christmas, I was still the woman I'd been for 72 years. Cordelia Whitmore. Retired elementary school teacher, widow of 5 years, mother to an only son who called every Sunday, visited every month, made me feel less alone in this big empty house. I spent my Fridays at book club. Margaret Chin hosted at her place on Maple Street, and we'd gather at 2 o'clock to discuss whatever novel someone picked. Historical fiction. Mostly, sometimes mysteries, never romance. We were past the age of needing happy endings spelled out for us. My Saturdays belonged to Garrett and Vanessa. I'd drive to their place in the suburbs. The house I helped them buy, and cook elaborate dinners, pot roast with all the fixings, lasagna that took me 6 hours to prepare, desserts from scratch. Because Vanessa said store-bought tasted like chemicals. I'd arrive at 4, leave at 9. 5 hours of watching them eat what I made, barely looking up from their phones. 5 hours of Vanessa making comments about how Bernard used to cook it differently, how her mother's version had more flavor, how next time maybe I should try adding this or that. It's constructive criticism, she'd say, smiling with her mouth but not her eyes. I'm just trying to help you improve. And I'd smile back, say thank you, tell her I appreciated the feedback because that's what good mothers do, right? They take it. They absorb the little cuts and pretend they don't bleed. Vanessa never called me mom. 5 years married to my son. And it was always Cordelia clipped. Professional, like I was someone she worked with, not family. But I told myself it didn't matter. Some people aren't comfortable with titles. Some people show love differently. I was imagining things, being too sensitive. That's what Bernard used to say when I'd complain about his sister's comments. You're too sensitive, Cordy. She doesn't mean anything by it. I dog sat there. Golden retrievers Max and Daisy whenever they traveled, which was often Napa Valley for wine tasting, Aspen for skiing, 2 weeks in Italy last spring. They'd drop the dogs off with a bag of food and a quick thanks, then post photos from first-class lounges and 5-star hotels. I'd watch those posts. From my living room, Max snoring on my feet, Daisy's head in my lap, and feel grateful they trusted me with their babies. That's what Vanessa called them. Her babies. Never mind that I raised an actual baby, that I knew what sacrifice really meant. The money I gave them for their down payment, $20,000 from Bernard's life insurance, was never mentioned. It had been 7 years, and sometimes I wondered if they even remembered, if they'd convinced themselves they'd done it alone. I lived in the house Bernard and I bought 40 years ago. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a garden that bloomed beautiful every spring when I could still get on my knees to plant. Now the garden was mostly weeds. My knees didn't bend like they used to. Bernard's recliner still Sat in the living room. Worn leather. Cracked in places. A water stain on the ceiling above it from a leak he'd promised to fix. Never did. Heart attack. Took him before he could get around to it. Took him on a Tuesday morning while he was reading the paper. Coffee going. Cold in his hand. 5 years and I still couldn't bring myself to fix that stain. It was the last thing he'd looked at. Maybe the last imperfection in our imperfect life together. I kept myself busy. Book club, volunteering at the library on Wednesdays, Sunday dinners at Garrett's that I cooked and cleaned up from while Vanessa watched reality TV in the other room. Little pieces of usefulness to justify taking up space in the world. But there were signs, small things I'd pushed down, ignored, explained away, like the time Vanessa asked how much Bernard's pension was worth. Just curious, she'd said, for when we're planning our own retirement. But her eyes had gotten sharp when I mentioned the amount, calculating, or when Garrett stopped asking how I was doing and started every conversation with what he needed. Mom, can you watch the dogs? Mom, our dryer broke. Do you know a good repairman? Mom, Vanessa's birthday is coming up. What should I get her? Never. How are you feeling? Or what have you been up to? I'd become a resource, a bank, a convenience, but I didn't see it clearly. Not until that Friday in September when book club got cancelled. Margaret's daughter went into labor 3 weeks early, and Margaret called everyone at 1:30 to say she was heading to the hospital. I'd already showered, dressed, made the lemon bars I was supposed to bring. No point going home to an empty house for the afternoon. So I drove aimless down Pinewood Avenue, past the new coffee shop, through the park where couples walk dogs in the early fall sunshine. Beautiful day, the kind Bernard used to love. We'd have gone for a drive, maybe found a roadside stand selling apples. I turned onto 5th Street without thinking. The ATM was there outside the bank Bernard and I had used for 30 years. I needed cash for the farmer's market tomorrow. Pulled into the parking lot, found a space. That's when I saw it. The red coat. Vanessa wore it everywhere. Bright crimson wool designer label. The one I'd given her last Christmas because she'd mentioned wanting it. $800 I'd spent watching her face light up when she opened the box. The first genuine smile she'd ever given me. She was standing at the ATM, her back to me, but I'd recognize that coat anywhere. Our Mercedes was parked 3 spots over. The one with the dent in the rear bumper. From when Garrett backed into a pole. I sat in my car, engine running, confused. Why would Vanessa be at this bank? They used First National across town, closer to their house. Better interest rates, Garrett had said. She finished her transaction, pulled something from the machine. Cash, a thick stack of it. She counted it quickly, glanced around. I ducked down. Stupid instinct, then stuffed it in her purse, and walked to the Mercedes. Drove away. I sat there for 10 minutes, heart pounding, telling myself there was an explanation. Maybe she was getting cash for a surprise. Maybe Garrett sent her. Maybe I was wrong about which bank they used. But something felt off, rotten. Like when you open the refrigerator and smell Spoiled milk before you even see it. I went inside, asked to speak with a banker, Susan Williams, same woman who'd helped me open my accounts after Bernard died. She smiled when she saw me. Mrs. Whitmore, what can I do for you? I need to check my statements. My voice sounded distant, like it was coming from somewhere else. My checking account, the one with the emergency access. She pulled it up on her computer, scrolled. Her smile faded. Is everything all right? I don't know. I leaned closer to the screen. Can you show me the last 6 months of withdrawals? That's when I saw them. Friday after Friday, always $3,000. Always at 2:15 in the afternoon. Always. From this ATM 8 months of Fridays. $24,000. Going back to January. These withdrawals, I said, my mouth dry. Do you have security footage? Susan's face told me this wasn't a normal request. Can I ask why? Because I didn't make them. The color drained from her face. I'll get the manager. They pulled the footage, sent it to my email, told me to file a police report. Said words like fraud and theft and investigation. Their voices buzzed like insects in my ears. I drove home in a daze, sat in my driveway for an hour before I could make myself go inside. When I finally did, everything looked the same, but felt different, like walking through a stranger's house. I opened my laptop with shaking hands. Clicked the email from the bank, watched the security footage. There she was. Vanessa in that red coat. Friday, September 13th, 21:17 p.m. Sliding a card into the ATM, punching in numbers. Taking cash. Friday, September the 6th. Same thing. Friday, August 30th, August 23rd. I watched 8 months of Fridays. Watched my daughter-in-law steal from me. In high definition. Her face clear in every frame. Sometimes she looked nervous, sometimes bored. Once she was on her phone laughing at something while my money came out of the machine. The Mercedes was always in the background. Garrett's car, which meant either he was with her or she had his keys or I called Garrett's number. It rang 4 times before he answered. Hey, Mom. Kind of busy. The debit card I gave you for emergencies. My voice didn't shake. Strange. The one connected to my checking account. Where is it? Pause. In my wallet. Why? Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. What's this about? Check. Right now, please. I heard rustling, a drawer opening. Silence. It's here, he said. Right where it always is. Can you read me the number? Mom, seriously. What's read me the number, Garrett? He did. I checked it against my statement. Same card, same number. When's the last time you used it? I asked. I don't know. 2 years ago. When my transmission died. You said it was for emergencies only. Have you ever given it to Vanessa? The silence stretched too long. Garrett, she needed it once, he said quietly. Last December for Christmas shopping. Our credit cards were maxed. I told her to just take out a little. How much is a little? I don't know. 3,000, she said. She'd pay it back right away. My living room tilted. I gripped the arm of Bernard's recliner to stay upright. Did she pay it back? I don't. I assumed. His voice changed, defensive. Why are you asking about this? I'll call you back. I ended the call before he could respond. I spent 3 days gathering evidence. Pulled every bank statement from the past 8 months, made a spreadsheet with dates, amounts, times, requested more security footage, built a case like I was preparing for trial because maybe I was. Friday night, I lay awake staring at Bernard's water stain, adding numbers in my head. 24,000 in withdrawals, plus the 6,000 more she'd taken in the past 2 months. $30,000 total gone. That was my emergency fund, my surgery money. I needed a hip replacement next spring. The pain was getting worse, making it hard to sleep, to walk more. Then a block. Insurance would cover most of it, but not all. That money was supposed to fill the gap. It was also supposed to last me. Social Security and Bernard's pension weren't much. I lived carefully, clipped coupons, bought generic, skipped things I wanted so I'd have enough for things I needed. And Vanessa had taken it. Taken it while I was at book club talking about fictional characters' problems. While I was making my lemon bars and living my small, careful life, the anger came slowly. Then all at once, I made a decision. Christmas Eve, I'd invite them over like always, make dinner like always, and then I'd confront them both. I wanted to see their faces. Needed to understand how they justified this to themselves. Needed to give them a chance to explain. Apologize, make it right. Some part of me still hoped there was an explanation. A misunderstanding, something that would make sense of this betrayal. I was wrong. Christmas Eve arrived cold and clear. I woke up at 6 o'clock, showered, dressed in the red sweater Garrett gave me 3 birthdays ago, started cooking. At 7 o'clock. Turkey breast for 3, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, rolls from scratch, sugar cookies shaped like stars and trees. The bank statement sat folded in my apron pocket. I'd touched it so many times the paper had gone soft, almost like fabric. I wasn't nervous. That surprised me. I'd spent 3 months being the woman who accepted things, who explained away red flags, who convinced herself that family was supposed to feel like this, slightly painful, mostly disappointing, but binding nonetheless. That woman was gone. The one rolling out cookie dough in her kitchen was someone harder. Someone who'd spent 72 years being kind and gotten nothing but bruises to show for it. The cookies were in the oven when the doorbell rang. 4:47. Early. They weren't supposed to arrive until 6 o'clock. Through the frosted glass, I saw the Mercedes in my driveway, exhaust puffing white into the December air. I wiped flour from my hands, checked my reflection in the hall mirror, smoothed my hair. Then I opened the door, wearing the smile I'd practiced, the one that said everything was fine. Mom. Garrett swept inside, bringing cold air and cologne. He kissed my cheek without looking at me. We're early. Vanessa wanted to help with dinner. Vanessa glided past, heels clicking on my hardwood floors. She carried a store-bought pie still in its plastic container. Merry Christmas, Cordelia. Never Mom, never even Mother. Always my First name like we were coworkers. I closed the door, followed them to the kitchen. My heart was beating fast now. But my hand stayed steady. Wine. Vanessa opened my refrigerator without asking, pulled out the Chardonnay I'd been saving for a special occasion that never seemed to come. She poured 2 glasses, one for Garrett, one for herself. I got nothing. She sat at my kitchen table, Bernard's table, the one we'd bought when Garrett was a baby, and sipped her wine. You know, Cordelia, I saw the cutest coat at Nordstrom yesterday. Camel cashmere on sale for only $1,200. I was thinking maybe for my birthday. Actually, I said, my voice cutting through her words like a knife through butter. I need to discuss something important. Garrett loosened his tie. Can it wait? We've had a long day. No. I pulled the bank statement from my pocket, unfolded it carefully, smoothing the creases. It can't. The paper crinkled in the sudden silence. The radio kept playing. Bing. Crosby singing about white Christmases. Wrong soundtrack for what was about to happen. Vanessa's eyes narrowed just for a second, but I caught it. What's that? Garrett reached for the statement. I held it back. This is from my checking account. I kept my voice level, calm. The one I opened after your father died. The one only you have access to. Garrett. For emergencies. I looked at my son. Really looked at him. Tried to find the boy who used to bring me dandelions from the backyard. Who'd cry when other kids got hurt. Who'd once told me I was his favorite person in the whole world. I didn't see that boy anywhere. Someone's been withdrawing money, I continued. Large amounts, almost $30,000 over the past 8 months. The kitchen felt smaller. Suddenly, the walls pressing in. Vanessa sipped her wine like we were discussing weather. And Garrett's jaw tightened. What are you implying? I'm not implying anything. I'm asking directly. I turned to Vanessa. Did you take money from my account? She set her glass down with a sharp click. Excuse me? The withdrawal started 2 weeks after Garrett gave you his debit card. The same card. Connected to my account. My hands didn't shake anymore. Anger burned away the fear. ATM transactions always exactly $3,000. Always on Fridays when I'm at book club. Vanessa laughed. Cold. Brittle, like ice cracking. This is unbelievable. Garrett, are you hearing this? But Garrett wasn't looking at her. He was staring at the statement I'd placed on the counter. His face had gone pale, then red, cycling through colors. Like a traffic light stuck between signals. Mom, you're confused. His voice came out too loud, too defensive. You probably authorized these and forgot. You're getting older. I'm 72, not senile. Heat crawled up my neck. I keep perfect records. I know every penny in that account. Maybe you should see a doctor. Vanessa moved closer to Garrett. Her hand on his arm. United front. Memory issues are common at your age. My grandmother had the same problem. Something cracked inside my chest. All those dinners I'd cooked. All those times I'd watched their dogs, watered their plants, picked up their mail, the down payment I'd given them, the car Payments, the credit card bills. 7 years. Of being useful, being needed, being family. Don't you dare gaslight me. My voice came out sharp as broken glass. I saw the security footage from the ATM on Pinewood and Fifth. That's your car. Vanessa. That's you in your red coat. The one I bought you last Christmas. Taking my money. The silence stretched. Like taffy. Even the radio seemed to pause between songs. Vanessa's mask finally slipped. Her pretty face twisted into something ugly, something that had probably been there all along, hiding behind smiles and constructive criticism. You had no right to spy on me. You had no right to steal from me. Steal? She laughed again. Mina, this time. You owe us that money. Clears throat, Cordelia. After everything we've done for you, visiting every month, pretending to care about your boring stories. That's worth something. The words hit like physical blows. I grabbed the counter to stay upright. Get out of my house. Gladly. Vanessa grabbed her purse. I'm tired of playing happy family with you anyway. You're pathetic. Clinging to money like it'll keep you warm at night. But Garrett didn't move. He stood frozen. His face a mask I didn't recognize. Mom. You need to understand. Understand what? That you let your wife rob me? That you're defending her? The house payment was due. His voice came out quiet, flat. We were going to lose everything. I told Vanessa where the card was. I told her. The pin. The floor tilted under my feet. You knew we were desperate. You make 6 figures. You drive a Mercedes. You just got back from skiing in Aspen. My voice was rising now, getting shrill. I didn't care. You have way more than most people ever will. And you stole from your own mother. That's not your business. His voice turned cold, exactly like his father's used to when he'd been caught in a lie. When I'd questioned something I wasn't supposed to question. You have way more money than you need. What are you saving it for? You're going to die alone in this house anyway. The words hit like a slap. Like he'd reached across the counter and put his hands on me. I grabbed the edge of the granite. The granite I'd helped them pick out. And held on. How dare you? Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not in front of them. That money was for my medical bills, for the surgery I need next year. For what? Vanessa was back at Garrett's side now, emboldened to hoard until you're dead. You're pathetic, Cordelia. This whole martyr act is getting old. Get out. My voice shook. Both of you now. Garrett moved toward me, his face twisted with something between anger and guilt. You're making a huge mistake. I said, get out. I grabbed the wine glass Vanessa had poured, my Chardonnay, the one she'd helped herself to, and threw it. Not at them. Never at them. But it shattered against the cabinet beside Garrett's head, sending white wine and glass spraying across my Christmas decorations, across the cookies I'd spent hours making, across everything. Everything happened fast after that. Garrett lunged forward. I thought he was leaving. Thought maybe he'd finally heard me, but his hands found my Shoulders instead. Found them and shoved. Hard. My hip cracked against the kitchen counter. Pain exploded through my side. White and hot and shocking. I'd never felt anything like it. I stumbled backward, my heel caught on the rug, the one Bernard and I had bought on our honeymoon in Santa Fe. The floor rushed up to meet me fast. Too fast. My head bounced off the hardwood with a sickening thud. Sound and sensation merged into one terrible moment. The crack, the pain, the ringing in my ears. Through the ringing, I heard Vanessa's voice. Jesus, Garrett, what did you do? I lay there staring at my ceiling at the water stain Bernard had promised to fix before he died. Blood trickled warm down my temple. My hip screamed. Garrett's face appeared above me, swimming in and out of focus. This is your fault, he hissed. You pushed us to this. Then Vanessa's face joined his. You're insane. You know that. Accusing us of theft. You stay away from us, Cordelia. We're done with you. Their footsteps retreated, heavy, quick, running from what they'd done. The front door slammed. The Mercedes engine roared to life, faded away into Christmas Eve. Silence. I lay there alone. The radio was still playing. Silent night now. Holy night. All is calm. All is bright. I don't know how long I stayed on that floor. Long enough for the cookies to burn in the oven. Long enough for the smoke alarm to start beeping. Long enough for the room to stop spinning. Quite so fast. When I finally sat up, every muscle screamed. I touched my head. My hand came away red, bright red. Christmas red. The counter had left a bruise blooming purple across my hip. I crawled to the phone on the wall, pulled myself up using the counter for balance. My fingers shook as I dialed 911. What's your emergency? I need help. My voice cracked, broke. I've been assaulted. The dispatcher's voice went sharp. Professional. Are you in immediate danger? No. They left, but I'm hurt. I'm bleeding. Help is on the way. Stay on the line with me. The paramedics came. Young man named Carlos. Older woman named Jean. They asked questions I answered through tears. Where does it hurt? Did you lose consciousness? Can you tell me what happened? They took pictures of my injuries. The gash on my temple, the bruise spreading across my hip, the scrape on my elbow where I'd tried to catch myself. You should press charges, Jean said quietly while Carlos radioed for police. This is assault. Domestic violence. It was my son. The words felt strange in my mouth. Foreign. Doesn't matter. Her eyes were kind, but firm. Family doesn't get a pass on putting hands on you. The police came. Next. Officer Martinez and Officer Thompson. More questions, more photos. They gave me a case number, said someone. Would follow up, asked if I felt safe if I had somewhere else to go. This is my home, I said. They don't get to take that, too. After they left, I sat in Bernard's recliner with an ice pack pressed against my skull. The house felt different now, violated, like Garrett. And Vanessa had brought something rotten inside, and it was still here, clinging To the walls. I'd built my life around being a good mother, a good wife, a good woman. I'd sacrificed and compromised. And swallowed my needs until I'd nearly disappeared. And what had it gotten me? Lying on my kitchen floor bleeding while my son told me it was my fault. No more. I pulled out my phone, called my lawyer. Fiona Reeves, a sharp woman who'd handled Bernard's estate. Left a voicemail with the basics. Called my financial advisor next, left another message. By the time I finished making calls, my voice was steady and my tears had dried. Then I waited. Christmas Day passed in silence. I didn't cook, didn't decorate, just iced my injuries and made lists, detailed lists of every dollar, every account, every asset in my name. The day after Christmas, my phone rang. At 9:23 a.m. Garrett's name lit up the screen. For a moment, I just stared at it, watched it ring, let my thumb hover over the decline button, but curiosity won. Or maybe it was something darker. The need to hear what excuse he'd manufacture, what apology he'd craft. I answered, Mom, his voice cracked. Mom, did you pay the mortgage this month? I sat in Bernard's old recliner, looked out at the winter dead garden. A crow pecked at the frozen ground, searching for something that wasn't there. Why would you think I paid your mortgage? Because he exhaled hard. The payment didn't go through. Our account shows insufficient funds. And I know you. Usually you've helped us before when we were short. Usually, that word again, hanging between us like smoke. I'm confused, Garrett. I kept my voice pleasant, almost curious. 2 nights ago, you told me I had more money than I needed, that I was going to die alone in this house anyway. You said it wasn't your business what I did with my money. Silence. I could picture him in his kitchen, his face cycling through panic and realization. Mom, listen. No, you. Listen. My voice stayed calm, but steel ran through it now. Your wife stole $30,000 from me. You knew about it. You helped her do it. And when I confronted you both, you shoved me to the ground and left me bleeding on my kitchen floor with a concussion and bruised ribs. I didn't mean it was an accident. The police have photos. The hospital has records. My lawyer has documentation of every withdrawal. I paused. Let that sink in. So, no, Garrett. I did not pay your mortgage. Mom, please. Desperation bled through the phone. They're going to foreclose. We'll lose the house. Everything. Just this once. Just this once. The words tasted bitter. I gave you $20,000 for your down payment. I've helped with your car payments, your credit cards, your emergencies for 7 years, and you repay me by stealing and assaulting me. I'm sorry, God. Mom, I'm so sorry. Are you sorry you did it or sorry you got caught? No answer. The crow in my garden flew away, left the frozen earth empty. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You and Vanessa are going to repay every cent you stole with interest. My lawyer is drafting a payment plan. You'll sign it or I'll file charges for theft and assault. We don't have that kind of money. Then get it. Sell the Mercedes. Downsize. Get second jobs. I don't care. My voice didn't waver. You have until January 15th to make the first payment. Mom, please. We can work this out as a family. Family? The word came out like a laugh. Sharp, joyless. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't assault. You want to know what family is? It's the people who show up when you're lying on the floor bleeding. That wasn't you. I could hear Vanessa in the background now, her voice shrill. Is that her? Let me talk to her. One more thing. I cut through his response. You're both no longer authorized on any of my accounts. My lawyer has already filed restraining orders. You come within 500 feet of me or my property, you'll be arrested. You can't do this. Watch me. I paused, then let the silence stretch. When I spoke again, my voice dropped to barely above a whisper. The same tone Bernard used to use when making final decisions that couldn't be negotiated. You reap what you sow. I ended the call. My hands didn't shake. My heart beat steady and strong. Through the window, snow began to fall. Soft, quiet, covering the dead garden in white. I'd spent 72 years being agreeable, being generous, being the family peacemaker. Where had it gotten me? Bleeding on my kitchen floor on Christmas Eve. But I wasn't that woman anymore. The woman who'd lain on that floor had died there. Died in the smoke and silence and blood. The woman sitting in this chair was someone new. Someone harder, someone who understood that kindness without boundaries was just self-destruction with better marketing. My phone buzzed. A text from Garrett. Please, Mom. We're desperate. I'll do anything. I deleted it without responding. Fiona called an hour later. I have the documents ready, payment plan, restraining orders, and I've filed a police report amendment adding the theft charges. Do you want to proceed? I thought about Garrett as a little boy, bringing me drawings from school, crying when he scraped his knee, hugging me so tight I could barely breathe. All those memories felt like they belonged to someone else now. Some naive woman who thought love was always enough. Proceed, I said. Good. Fiona's voice held approval. For what it's worth, Cordelia, you're doing the right thing. Family or not, abuse is abuse. After she hung up, I made myself tea. Sat at my kitchen table where Vanessa had called me pathetic, where Garrett had said I'd die alone. The sun broke through the clouds, turned the snow to diamonds. My phone buzzed again and again. Garrett and Vanessa, spiraling into panic as they realized the consequences of their actions were finally catching up. I turned the phone off, sipped my tea. For the first time in 5 years, maybe longer, I felt something close to peace, not happiness. Peace was different. Peace was knowing your worth and refusing to accept less. Peace was drawing boundaries and enforcing them even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. The house felt quieter without the weight of their presence, their expectations, their entitlement. Just me and the ticking grandfather clock and the snow falling soft outside. I pulled out my journal. The one I'd kept since Bernard died. Wrote 4 words on a fresh page. The same 4 words I should have said years ago. The same 4 words that would Define the rest of my life. I choose myself now. 6 weeks passed. January turned to February. The bruises faded from purple to yellow to nothing. My hip still ached when it rained, but the doctor said that would improve with time. Garrett called 17 times, left 12 voicemails, sent 43 texts. I blocked his number after the first week. Vanessa called once, called me names I won't repeat, said things about Bernard, about me, about what kind of mother I was. I listened to the whole voicemail once, then deleted it, blocked her, too. The January 15th deadline came and went. No payment, no contact beyond the desperate messages I'd blocked. So Fiona filed the charges. Theft, elder abuse, assault. I thought I'd feel guilty. Thought there'd be some moment where maternal instinct kicked in and I'd want to take it all back, save him one more time. That moment never came. Instead, I felt lighter, like I'd been carrying a weight for so long, I'd forgotten what it felt like to stand up straight. The criminal investigation moved slowly. Detective Walsh kept me updated. Said these cases took time. Said I was doing the right thing. Said she wished more victims had the courage to follow through. Victim. I was a victim now. Strange how a word could be both accurate and completely wrong at the same time. In March, I got a call from a real estate agent. Hi, Mrs. Whitmore. I'm calling about the property at 847 Oakmont Drive, your son and daughter-in-law's home. It's going into foreclosure next week. I wanted to reach out in case you were interested in purchasing it to help them out. I almost laughed. No, thank you. Are you sure? I know how hard these situations can be for families. I'm sure. I hung up and felt nothing. No guilt, no sadness, just the quiet satisfaction of watching consequences unfold exactly as they should. April brought my hip surgery. I hired a nurse to stay with me for the first week. Her name was Patricia, and she reminded me of my sister who'd passed 10 years ago. Kind without being pitying, efficient without being cold. You live alone? She asked while helping me into bed the first night. Yes, no kids. I have a son. The words felt mechanical. True, but meaningless. We're not in contact. She didn't push. Just nodded like she'd heard that story 1,000 times before. Maybe she had. The surgery went well. Physical therapy was hard, but I did it 3 times a week at first, then twice, then once. By May, I was walking without a cane. By June, I could garden again. I planted tomatoes, basil, marigolds to keep the pests away. Got dirt under my fingernails and felt more alive than I had in years. Margaret from book club came by one afternoon, found me deadheading roses in the backyard. You look good, she said, and meant it. I feel good. I heard about Garrett. She sat on the patio chair Bernard had built 20 years ago. I'm sorry. I'm not. She studied my face. Looking for what? Regret? Sadness? Whatever she was searching for, she didn't find it. Good, she said finally. He deserved worse. We sat in comfortable silence, drinking Lemonade, watching the tomatoes grow. July came hot and sticky, the kind of summer that made the air feel thick enough to swim through. I kept my routine. Watered the garden before dawn. Book club on Fridays, library. Volunteering on Wednesdays. But I'd added new things, too. Joined a watercolor class at the community center, started having coffee with Patricia every other Thursday. She wasn't my nurse anymore, but we'd become friends. Real friends. The kind who told the truth even when it was uncomfortable. One Thursday in late July, she asked me, "Do you ever think about reconciling with him?" No, not even a little. Not even a little. I stirred sugar into my coffee. Some bridges are supposed to burn. She nodded, smiled, understood. The trial date was set for September. Garrett's lawyer tried to negotiate. Fiona called me every time they made an offer. They'll pay back $15,000 and drop the assault charges to simple battery, she said. Probation, no jail time. No. Cordelia. It's a good offer. These cases are hard to prove. A judge might. No. I kept my voice firm. They stole $30,000. They assaulted me in my own home. I want them to face the full consequences. Silence on the other end of the line. Then. All right, I'll tell them we're going to trial. August melted into September. The leaves started turning. I bought a new sweater. Red, not because Garrett had given me the old one, but because I liked red. Because it made me feel bold. The day before the trial, Garrett showed up at my house. I saw him through the window. Standing on my porch, looking smaller. Somehow, older. He'd lost weight. His suit hung loose on his frame. He rang the doorbell. I didn't answer. He rang again. Mom, I know you're in there. Please, I just want to talk. I stood in my living room 5 feet from the door and said nothing. I'm sorry, he said through the wood. I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I was desperate and stupid. And I made the worst decision of my life. His voice cracked. Please, Mom. Please don't do this. I'm begging you. I stood there listening, feeling nothing. After 10 minutes, he left, drove away in a car I didn't recognize. Something cheap, American. The Mercedes was gone. I called the police, reported the restraining order violation. They said they'd follow up. The trial lasted 3 days. I testified on day 2. Sat in that chair and told the whole story, the theft, the confrontation, the assault. Garrett's lawyer tried to make me look confused, vindictive, a bitter old woman who couldn't remember things clearly. But I had the evidence, the bank statements, the security footage, the hospital records, the photos of my bruises. The jury deliberated for 4 hours, guilty on all counts. Garrett cried when they read the verdict. Vanessa sat stone-faced in the gallery when the judge sentenced him to 18 months in prison and ordered them to pay back the full $30,000 plus interest and legal fees. She got up and walked out. I sat in that courtroom and felt the weight of 72 years lift off my shoulders. Outside on the courthouse steps, a reporter asked me how I felt. Free, I said, and meant it. It's been 6 months since the trial. Spring is coming. Again. My garden is planned. Seeds. Ordered. I've got tomatoes and peppers. And a whole section for herbs. The 30,000 came back in installments. There. House sold at auction. They had to declare bankruptcy. I heard through Margaret that they're divorced now. Garrett got out of prison early for good behavior. Living in a studio apartment. Across town, working as a delivery driver. I don't think about him much anymore. Some days I forget I even had a son. Patricia asked me last week if I ever feel lonely. Sometimes, I said, but lonely is better than used. She laughed. Agreed. I'm sitting in my garden now. First warm day of March. The crow that used to peck at frozen ground is back. I've been leaving seeds. He brings his mate now. They're building a nest in the oak tree Bernard planted when we moved in. Full circle. Everything comes around. I open my journal to a fresh page. Think about what to write about. What these past months have taught me. Finally, I write it down. The lesson. That cost me $30,000 and a son to learn. Love without respect is just another word for abuse. Generosity without boundaries is just another word for being used. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is let people face the consequences of treating you badly. I close the journal, watch the crows. Feel the sun on my face. For anyone who's been where I was, lying on a floor, bleeding and alone, wondering if standing up for yourself makes you the villain. Let me tell you something. It doesn't. Your worth was never in their hands. It was always in yours. You just forgot for a while. And to anyone fighting their own battle right now, your comeback is already being written. Stay quiet. Stay sharp. Let your actions speak louder than their excuses ever could. What lesson hit you hardest from this story? And if you were in my shoes that Christmas Eve, what would you have done differently? I want to know. Don't stop here. Click the next video on your screen right now and watch another story from our channel. Keep going and hit subscribe. Turn on notifications. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next